Listen, folks, to anybody who watches this video, I need you to reshare it because anytime anyone exposes this story, it needs to go viral every time. But you wouldn't imagine every time I share it that Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, they never show the video. They keep it shadow banned. But here's why.
Professional photographer from Tulsa, Doug Henderson, has traveled the world and seen so many stories, but he's kept the story behind one of his photographs to himself until now. It's the story about what's inside this vial.
But the content of the vial is what makes it valuable.
When a friend asked him to travel to Africa to take some photographs, he didn't think it was a big deal.
We had no idea of what we were stepping off into at this point.
But when Doug got there, what he saw, that turned out to be a very big deal. In 2004, Doug flew to Africa to the Ivory Coast, where he met a man from Tulsa, a man who made an enormous claim.
He said, I have what I believe to be the cure for AIDS.
That struck a chord with Doug. He'd watched his brother-in-law slowly slip away from the virus. He was only 44.
Well, that's a miserable way to die.
So when this Tulsa doctor said he had a cure for AIDS, Doug was willing to hear what he had to say.
It's dependent upon the severity of the illness based upon what's known as a viral load and the stage of the illness.
The doctor was Gary Davis, a family practitioner who'd graduated from Dartmouth Medical School and who'd been a captain in the U.S. Navy. In 2007, Dr. Davis died with an impressive resume. But when Doug first met the doctor in 2004, he thought surely a man with these credentials wouldn't joke about having a cure for AIDS. But Doug says he was skeptical, to say the least.
I'm less concerned with what people say or what people claim. I'd like to see the evidence.
Doug says Dr. Davis told him dozens of his patients and even close friends had died from AIDS. And then he told Doug a bizarre story about how he came up with the idea for his so-called cure.
The way he tells the story, that night he had a dream. He had a dream. He doesn't call it a vision, he calls it a dream. And in this dream, he was injecting a goat with the HIV virus.
I mean, ain't it fucking crazy that it was literally on the news, but no national attention?
Precious is 17 now,
Yeah.
and that's a big deal when you have a deadly virus.
I was born with HIV. Contracted it from my mother, my birth mother.
Her drug-addicted mother gave her to a woman named Rocky Thomas, who says she loved that baby instantly and adopted her.
Oh my goodness, yes, it was just a instant bond. That was my baby.
Rocky says even as a baby, Precious was sick and spent more time in the hospital than at home.
This picture, I probably was sick.
They were living in Washington, D.C., just as they do now. Precious was getting the best care in the country.
She was just staying sick. I mean, we did ample amount of medicine on top of medicine.
By the time Precious was 6, Rocky knew her little girl could die any day. Rocky was desperate. So when she heard about a doctor in Tulsa who said he had a new treatment he created by injecting a goat, Rocky didn't care if it sounded crazy.
It didn't matter how nuts it was right at that point in time.
In 1998, Rocky made arrangements to get on a train with Precious to travel 1,000 miles to meet this doctor and his so-called goat serum, and she didn't tell a soul.
Nobody wasn't going to talk me out of doing what I did.
When Rocky and Precious got to Tulsa, they met Dr. Gary Davis, a family practitioner who'd injected goats with the AIDS virus and then used the antibodies the goats made to create a serum. Dr. Davis died in 2007, but Rocky says when she met him, she could tell he just wanted to make sick people well.
Like, they just swept that shit under the rug, though, right? That shit crazy out here.
I asked representatives at the NIH if they would consider looking into the serum today, but they didn't seem interested. Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the AIDS division of the NIH, did give us this statement. Quote, not only is there not any basis for it to work, but there is evidence to the contrary that it won't work because this type of approach has been tried before in an even more sophisticated way.
Bro, they finna take word from this lying bastard. This dude literally got caught lying so many times during the COVID situation, bro. Yeah, you see what it is.